Here's Jake Tapper speaking. The book, they published an excerpt in the New Yorker, and the advanced copy was obtained by The Guardian, and Axios has a piece of it. That's where Alex Thompson's from. And so the news reports are already hitting. So Jake gave an interview on his own network, CNN, speaking to the lies. That was his word yesterday. Sat one.
Well, Alex Thompson and I were on the case, as were lots of other reporters, trying to figure out what was going on behind the scenes. But the bottom line is the White House was lying, not only to the press, not only to the public, but they were lying to members of their own cabinet. They were lying to White House staffers. They were lying to Democratic members of Congress, to donors about how bad things had gotten. And in fact, Alex and I started writing this book after the election of 2024, and we spoke with more than 200 people, most of whom, almost all of whom, were Democrats, and almost all of whom wouldn't be honest with us or wouldn't be candid with us until after the election. And then after the election, we found out all of these things that when you looked at what was going on with President Biden at the time, it probably doesn't surprise you the extent to which he was deteriorating. But now we have anecdotes and facts about what was really going on behind the scenes with details that Democrats wouldn't share with us until after Election Day.
Is anyone shocked?
I mean, and let's keep in mind also that a lot of the quotes, at least that we've seen in the New Yorker piece, are still anonymous, which is like campaign operatives said, and high-profile Democrats said, we're not going to get anywhere close to fixing the ills and the rot that allowed this to happen without some actual accountability and honesty. I think there's an interesting comp of a book that's out now. Megyn, you interviewed David Zweig, as did we at the Fifth Column, about his book, An Abundance of Caution, which looks back at why did we basically close schools when the rest of the world had figured out that we shouldn't during COVID. Boiling it down very quickly. But the media was very complicit in that. The elites were very complicit in that. And part of his approach and understanding is like, hey, look, this can happen again in a different way. We need an autopsy of this so we can figure this out. Historians are going to be looking at this for a long time, just as they did with FDR's 1944 election when he was dying of congestive heart failure, with Woodrow Wilson having a stroke in the White House. We had Dr. Jill Biden chairing cabinet meetings. And then the few that Biden was chairing, they put the names so that he could see them. Like, what are we talking about here? But we need to know exactly the habits of mind that allowed that kind of delusion. I'm reading the New Yorker story, and I want to throw a brick through my own window. It's making me so infuriated, because what is happening here? This is less than 12 months ago.